Hello and welcome to my Exploring Winnipeg Parks channel. In this video I'll be presenting information about the River West Park neighbourhood with a heavy focus on the historic Caron Park. This area of Winnipeg is nestled in just inside the West Perimeter Highway along the south shore of the Assiniboine River. I'll also share a slideshow of my tour of all 4 parks in the neighbourhood. You can explore full photo galleries of these parks on my website at exploringwinnipegparks.ca. with high-resolution wallpapers available for download on my Coffee page and Gumroad account. There are 4 parks in the area, all accessible via Barker Boulevard. If you enter the neighbourhood by turning north on Barker off of Roblin Boulevard, you'll first reach the Daly Gardens, a green space with a pathway leading east into the Southboyne area. Heading west on Barker passes by Stack Street, where you'll find several athletic fields and a forested area in Fleche Park, next to River West Park school grounds. Continuing west on Barker passes by Synod Street, where you'll find a quiet green space named Parc Morrissette behind a residential area. If you turn north on Cass Street, you'll reach the intersection with Musgrove Street, where the historic Caron Park awaits. If you're driving to the area, there's a small parking lot at this entrance, next to Caron House. For visitors traveling by bicycle or on foot from the north side of the Assiniboine River, make your way onto Oxbow Bend Road. You can cross the Perimeter Highway Bridge using the east side sidewalk. From there, a dirt path leads into the western forested area of Caron Park. Now that you know how to get to the area, let's take a little tour of the neighbourhood, starting with my visit to Caron Park on the afternoon of August 13th, 2025. I'll make my way through Caron Park around the bank of the Assiniboine River, then head south and east to Parc Morrissette, Fleche Park, and finally Daly Gardens. As I make my way through the slideshow of Caron Park, I'll pause to describe some local history and points of interest. Out in front of Caron House, you'll find this information panel that explains some of the history of Caron House. The panel reads, Caron House was built in 1905 and is a large 2.5-story Queen Anne style of brick veneer. It is one of the last original farmhouses on the Assiniboine River inside the city. Being adaptable farmers, the Carons also built a cheese factory, a blacksmith shop, and a windmill for pumping water. In 1880, George and Charles Caron, distant cousins from Louisville, Quebec, arrived in St. Charles and purchased 2,400 acres of land in long river lots south of the Assiniboine. George was married to Virginie. Charles, Virginie's brother, was married to Amandine. In 1901, George was elected Reeve of Assiniboia, where he served 3 terms, and was Inspector of Public Institutes of Manitoba from 1907 until his death in 1912. In 1885, Jude and Odile Fleche, Amandine's parents, settled in Manitoba with their 9 other children on land purchased from the Carons. In 1948, Irénée Fleche, the grandson of Jude, bought the Caron House from Emma Caron, the last surviving daughter of George Caron. The Fleche children attended St. Charles Convent, using the ferry outside of the winter season. In 1953, one of Irénée's boys, Silvio, was hired by the municipality to operate the ferry for the summer. In 1960, after 4 of his children had married, Irénée sold the Caron House for $10,500. The Fraser family acquired the house later in the 1960s. It was sold to the city of Winnipeg in 1978, then saved from demolition in 1980 by the Charleswood Historical Society. Here in the northeast corner of the park, an information panel stands near the river that explains the history of the St. Charles Ferry. The top portion of the panel reads, Rivers were highways for Aboriginal and Métis hunters, voyageurs, later settlers, then barges and steamboats. Rivers were also barriers, and before the bridges, Headingley in 1880, Maryland in 1894, and St. James in 1909, ferries were essential. The original ferry, which ran from 1870 through 1908 at the Passage Historic Site, was moved here in 1908 due to shallow water, as the Carons had a ferry to get their produce over to St. Charles. The ferry was crucial for commerce, church, school, family, and social visits, and any travel north-south, connecting Charleswood with St. Charles until 1959, when the Perimeter Bridge was built. The next section describes the Red River Cart and Old Bay St. Paul Road. Métis families used the unique Red River Cart to transport goods across the prairies and locally, as Sergeant Irving of Winnipeg Waterworks is shown here in 1874. Transport was a major industry, and almost everyone was involved. On the south side of the river, the Old Bay St. Paul Road cut through the riverside bush from St. Boniface west to Bay St. Paul. Walk 5 minutes west and you can still see tracks in the ground from thousands of Red River carts. The bottom left section describes some of the history of the First Nations and Métis people in the area. Lot 1, Headingley, close to the Caron Farm boundary, was an Aboriginal camping and hunting ground. From this point, dangers could be seen east and west on the Assiniboine, and to the south across the prairie. Water, food, and wood were all present here. On the Kuiper's site, a market garden from 1930 through to the 80s, artifacts dating back 3,000 years have been collected and documented. This area was one of the largest winter quarters for Métis buffalo hunters, who followed the great herds across the tall grass prairie in spring and fall. Charleswood is high ground, safe from flooding, and many Métis families settled along the river before the Carons arrived. In the 1870s, long river lots granted to the Métis as script extended back 2 miles from the river, with a further 2 miles added for haying privileges. The right-hand section describes the role of the ferry. The ferry operated in summer, replaced in the winter with an ice road. Springtime presented some problems. This side of the river was shaded, but the north side had full sun. As the spring sun warmed up, travelers became nervous about crossing on the ice. A ferryman's hut was built nearby where you see the caragana bushes. The fast-growing caragonas offered good shelter. And we'll now continue with the rest of the slideshow. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow and a little bit of local history we explored today. If you're looking for more information about Caron House, you can visit the Charleswood Historical Society's website. They have a webpage dedicated to describing more about the history of the area. Every year in May, a guided tour of the house is offered with the cooperation of Doors Open Winnipeg. If you'd like to bring a piece of these parks home, you can find a collection of 25 high-resolution desktop wallpapers over on the Exploring Winnipeg Parks Gumroad page. There's even a royalty-free option if you want to use them for your own projects or publications. Don't forget to visit the website at exploringwinnipegparks.ca for photo galleries of parks all throughout the city of Winnipeg. Thanks so much for watching! If you enjoyed this little tour, the best way to support the channel is by hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps me keep exploring and sharing these hidden gems with you.